Earlier, I made a video about how depression sucks. And I've had lots of conversations with people about various mental conditions and other kinds of health conditions and, autism and ADHD and stuff. And normally the conversations talk about how these conditions suck. They just suck. Like we talk about what's wrong with us and what we struggle with, but not necessarily the solutions of things. Now, with some conditions, there are, like there is a sharing of that. But with depression, it's mostly about what it feels like, what it's like for the individual. And I think one of the most common things that people with depression do is self isolate. And that makes the depression worse. But after I did that video, I started thinking about what are some of the solutions. And I can't speak for everyone. I know isolation is bad. Now, if you've got a job, it's harder to isolate yourself. And there are going to be things that even if you are seriously deep in the abyss of depression and you are dysthymic as hell, there's going to be things that happen when you are around people that you're not going to expect to hear or see, and it's going to make you chuckle. It's going to be something you tell people about. When you think about it, you're going to smile a little bit. It's just a teeny tiny little kernel of something. I think for me, one of the things is purpose. Now, when I talk about purpose, it's not about going to work every day. You go to work every day because you need a roof over your head. You need food in your belly. You got kids to support. You go to work to get a paycheck. That's not purpose. Even if your job is saving lives or making people laugh, warning them about weather conditions, it's a job. It is not your purpose. It only becomes your purpose, I think, when, say, Robin Williams, when he was performing, say after a show, a guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, I was going to unalive myself. Friend of mine had an extra ticket to your show and he invited me. I'm not going to do it because you made me laugh so hard and I felt so alive that I remembered that these moments happen and I want to experience them." Now, at that point in time, Robin would have probably been like, I saved a life. I helped somebody. He didn't just do his job. He actually got the kudos. He got to see what he was doing it for. Not just to make people laugh, to show them a good time. He actually helped somebody. A lot of people with depression unalive themselves, especially when they become isolated, because they notice that the phone's not ringing. People aren't inviting them to things. They forget what living is. They forget that it passes. They just feel the pain, the boredom, and they think nobody will miss them. And they think that when they go, all the bad stuff goes with them. But it doesn't. It's passed on to the people you leave behind. Some people, the only reason they're still alive is that they have children to support. They have people who depend on them. Having somebody depend on you is just extra weight on your shoulder. Not going to say like, kids are just extra weight on your shoulder. No, they're not. Having responsibilities is not purpose. It's doctors, they go to work every day, they save lives. They have people say, oh, thank you, doctor, oh, thank you so much. They get that all day long. They're just doing their job. But if they're off work and they drag themselves to a restaurant because they're thinking, I should eat this, I want to go eat this. They show up and something happens and they're the only person there who can do what needs doing. At that point, when they're saving a life in their off hours, purpose. They did something other people couldn't do. Now, I often have conversations with my elderly aunt who acts a lot younger than she is, unless somebody's being a butthead, and then she shows you that she doesn't give two fucks. And she'd hate me for saying the F word. She'd be like, you said the F word. Like, she hates that word. But she's often doing things. And I'm like, hey, I'm at home all day. I can help. And I want her to pick me up and take me to her place to help her. But I can't say, hey, I need that. Because doing something for somebody else, because you can, reminds you that you are still a capable, valid person. You're helping somebody. And you're not doing it for a paycheck. You're not doing it for kudos. And it's also something to do that takes you out of your own crappy life. Because that's how you start to look at life when you're in the depths of that abyss of depression, is that my life is crappy. You forget that you got great kids, you got a great job, you got a nice home, and maybe you don't have those things. And you really think your life is crappy because you're like, I don't have, I wanted kids and never got to have them. I've never been married. I have a crappy house, crappy car, crappy job, can't do better. Whatever your situation may be, in the depths of depression, it's crappy. Everything sucks. So when you get to help someone else, like if they're struggling and they come to you and they tell you their problems, like when somebody tells me their problems and I'm offering up advice and I am, just having this conversation with them, I'm not dealing with me. I'm helping them. I have purpose in that moment. And my purpose is not something that's going to get me paid. It's not something that's going to get me this, like, oh, you're the greatest person in the world. And, they're not going to build up my freaking ego. It gets me out of my crappy existence. It reminds me, who cares? Like when they invite me to something, because kudos to the guy who invites the guy who's about to off himself to a Robin Williams show back in the day. Like, kudos. Remember that we exist. Invite us to things. Tell us you want us there. Remind us that you want us around, because we start feeling like we suck. Everything about us sucks and we're alone, and we've done it to ourselves. Make no mistake, we've done it to ourselves. We isolate. And it's not anybody's job to pull us out and take care of us when we're like that. But if you notice it, just remember, like, hey, come over for dinner. We're having this. We'd really like you to be there. Hey, help me move this thing.